as Israel scales up the offensive on what was a brutal Hamas terror attack. Misinformation flows. Blood-curdling news of babies beheaded by Hamas went viral. Till now, there has been no proof. Reports of mass rapes by Hamas terrorists were circulated. Till now, no proof. While Israel has every right to retaliate to what was a barbaric massacre and a terror attack, concern now grows over the siege of Gaza, a humanitarian crisis of unfathomable proportions. 2 million people cut off from essential supplies. No food, no water, no electricity, no medicine. A health system that has completely collapsed, overwhelmed by those injured. Israel is entitled to revenge, but the reckoning must be with Hamas and not Gazans. Top story on To The Point this evening.
Because over the last couple of days, we've seen the horrific aftermath of a barbaric terrorism attack by Hamas on Israel. Very little information now emanating from Gaza. It's a siege where Israel is concerned of Gaza. I want to cut across immediately to Rami Al-Meghari. He is reporting for us from the Gaza Strip. Rami, very little information, like I pointed out, emanating from Gaza ever since there's been indiscriminate bombing and the siege of Gaza by Israel. Can you apprise us of the ground situation?
The situation on the ground in Gaza is very terrible for the time being, as Israeli warplanes have massively targeted different and various multiple locations in the Gaza Strip, including residential buildings with buildings as high rises. The different high rises have been pounded to the ground for now, leaving many people outside in the streets because they are being homeless now. Residential buildings in different parts of the territory, like refugee camps, like what happened earlier today in the Shad refugee camp, when an Israeli raided a house, leaving behind or reclaiming the lives of 15 family members in the same house, and injury of many other neighbors, including the destruction of the house and partial destruction of the buildings nearby. The situation is being terrible in the sense that these attacks by Israel are the most intensive in the past 15 years, and it seems it is a declaration of war, as stated by the Israeli state officials, a state of war in Gaza, in which Israel yield no effort to inflict harm on every single object, single human in Gaza. Everyone is getting vulnerable to an Israeli harm because of the intensity of Israeli airstrikes on the region since Saturday this week, actually. The electricity, sorry, let me just hint at the estimations by the health ministry that about 1,500 Palestinians, including hundreds of women and children, have been killed, and 6,000 others, almost 6,000 others have been injured due to the Israeli fire that has hit the coastal enclave, the tiny coastal enclave, for the 6th day in a row for the time being.
Rami, stay with me. I'm going to just once, play the latest visuals that are coming in. There's been a complete blockade where the Gaza Strip is concerned, indiscriminate bombing, and now a ground invasion is looming large. This video, heartbreaking, heartrending, of a young man taking the body of his 2-year-old son who's dead. I want to cut across back to Rami as these heartrending visuals continue to pour in. And yes, viewers, they're pouring in from either sides of the divide, Israel and Gaza. Till now, very little information was emanating from the Gaza Strip after the siege by Israel. Little by little, videos pouring in, and this is what we are witnessing. I'm going to cut across back to Rami. Rami, the latest word coming in that the hospitals completely inundated, the medicines right now have run out, where there isn't even saline water to wash wounds. Can you get us up to speed in terms of the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Gaza?
I want to refer here to the hospital situation, in Gaza. Officials within the health ministry surely suggest that the health system in Gaza will likely collapse in the upcoming days. One of the health officials literally told me that what they used to use in one day, in 1 month, they use it now for 1 day. I mean the supplies, the medical supplies, the essential equipment, the essential medicines and other medical items, because of the intensity of the strikes and the capacity of the hospitals in Gaza is not that able to deal with the high amount or great amount of casualties coming over to hospitals like Al Shifa Hospital, the Key Shifa Hospital in Gaza City. There are about 17 government-run clinics and hospitals in Gaza with only 2,000 beds, but with a great amount of injuries and casualties, these capacities will not be that helpful in the upcoming days.
Rami, thank you for joining us. I hope you're safe. I hope your family is safe. We're going to continue to connect with you for the latest information that's coming in. I just want to quickly shift into the latest news break that's just filtering in as I speak. There's been a big escalation in the Israel-Hamas war. Israel has opened up another front. We are given to understand Syria has claimed Israel strikes in Syrian territory. Syria claims a barrage of strikes on Damascus and Aleppo airport. An official statement by Syria states the Israeli enemy simultaneously carried out an air aggression with bursts of missiles targeting the international airports of Aleppo and Damascus, which led to damage to the two airports' landing strips and them being out of service. I want to immediately connect to my colleague Geeta Mohan, our foreign affairs editor, joining us live. Geeta, would you get us up to speed with this latest news break? In this effect, now Israel is practically fighting on three fronts. Hamas in Gaza, you have the south of Lebanon, and now, as per Syria, they've opened a front in Syria as well.
Well, that's right. If you look at the region, leaving out Damascus, the Aleppo region is an area that has had fighters that are fighting Assad, but also known to be very close to Hamas. So in order to ensure that all the Hamas leadership, if they're fleeing or if they're already in these areas, that they should be targeted. This also pretty clearly is coming from intelligence that they're gathering on the whereabouts of Hamas and their leadership, and that's why they're opening up these fronts. Hezbollah has already said that they're not involved in this fight, particularly at this point in time, at this juncture, but the Lebanon front is already open, and now, as has been reported, the Damascus airport is also Aleppo. Being bombed by Israel is a retaliation, a reaction to the intelligence that they're gathering on where all Hamas is, or where all could Hamas be connected to various other groups. And in that effort to take out Hamas, I suppose the military efforts are ongoing between Israel and all the other fronts that Israel has opened up. This is going to get rather serious, because we are looking at a point where the Western allies have landed in Israel. They're looking at what is happening in Israel. Their munitions, weapon systems have also landed in Israel. So it's a coordinated effort, a lot of intelligence gathering between Israel and its Western allies as well. But Israel, despite these attacks, Preeti, one cannot say that their intelligence agencies do not know what is happening in their territory and around their territory. So a lot of intelligence gathering, and yet another front has been opened
Right.
up by Israel after Lebanon. We're now looking at Syria too.
You know, Geeta, just stay on with me. I'm going to come right back to you. I want to once again shift focus to the images that are coming in from Gaza as well, as Israel opens another front where Syria is concerned. And that's something that has been confirmed by Syria, but visuals also coming in as I speak of a missile strike on Aleppo and Damascus. I want to quickly introduce to our viewers to Dr. Khanvraj Jangir. He is the Associate Professor and Director, Center for Israel Studies of Jindal Global University, also visiting faculty at Ben Gurion University in Israel. He's joining us from Tel Aviv. We also have Dr. Ehab Basaiso, which is academic writer, vice president of Dar al-Kalima University in Bethlehem, West Bank. Geeta, I want to come right back to you, and I'm going to go to our two experts as well. There has been talks of opening up a possible, a humanitarian corridor where Gaza is concerned, but till now it hasn't been entertained. Geeta, that question's for you.
Or could you repeat the question, Preeti?
Geeta, there has been talks on a global level, especially where the UN is concerned, to open up a humanitarian corridor where Gaza comes into question, but till now, Israel firmly against that.
The meeting of the GCC in Muscat a day ago, where the European Union's High Representative was also present, Joseph Borrell, and in that meeting it was very clear that very important major European players do not want to stop aid going into the Gaza Strip. So it's not like everybody's together when there's condemnation of the attack, but they're not speaking in one voice or in unison when it comes to aid. There are certain countries that have banned and stopped aid to Palestinians, but there are major countries who are not willing to ban and stop aid. So there is a difference there, and in that we still see that Egypt has closed the Rafah crossing, the Rafah border, the only crossing, Preeti, between the Gaza Strip and another country apart from Israel. Israel has blocked the entire area. There is no food, electricity, water. It is the people over there living in dire straits. So it is a very difficult situation for civilians living within Gaza Strip. 2.2 million population within a 365 square kilometer space, and with no electricity, water or food. Things are going to get very difficult. The international community will have to step in.
Well, especially when there are now fears of a ground invasion looming large on the Gaza Strip, things will get more difficult. Appreciate you joining us, Geeta, Foreign Affairs Editor. I want to quickly cut across to our two experts. Appreciate the patience. Dr. Jangir, at a time, where the international community standing besides Israel. Israel has every right for retribution, for revenge. But, the reckoning needs to be with Hamas and not the Gazans. And what we are witnessing now, possibly the making of a humanitarian crisis.
Thank you, Preeti. This is indeed tragic. More children will die and more women and families will be shattered in Gaza now. That's how the conflict has played itself for decades. One reacts and the another one justifies the act of the next on the basis of that reaction. So I think what we see is Israel is indeed very, angry, and revenge, even if it is really talked, is not going to really help Israeli case. I do think that by going on aggression, it will really undo the sympathy and the support that Israel has received in the last 4 days. However, Israel has also been in a very precarious situation with the hostages. So this morning, officially, Israeli army told, message to Gaza and other Arab countries that we will apply electricity, fuel, and other medical supplies if the hostages are freed. So they said humanitarianism in return of humanitarianism. So I think what Israel has played it out is that rather than coming under the bargain of Hamas and Islamic Jihad and Hamas on the day one at the evening said, we will release the hostages if Israel agrees to release all their prisoners in Israeli jails. And now Israel is saying, we will let every humanitarian aid come in, provided you release the hostages. So it's actually a bargaining tactic right now, but you are right. There is a great human cost to it.
Dr. Rehab, I want you to come in and weigh in on this. What we are seeing is a tragedy of proportions unimagined. At this juncture, with what has gone down over the course of the last 3 days, if Israel has extended, the opportunity to let aid come in at the exchange of, hostages, maybe that should be entertained by Hamas.
Well, I believe that Israel is trying to find an excuse to buy more time to finish its massacre and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians. This is not exaggeration, but what we have been witnessing for the last 5 days is a clearly evidence that the excessive use of force against the Gazans and Gaza Strip and the high amount of casualties and victims is proven to be that Israel's aim is to just hit the Gazans and to commit a very big ethnic cleansing, in which this is a huge tragedy. The question is, before we just start asking about a prisoners exchange or any kind of a political deal, we have to remind our memory all the time that this is not the first time that this kind of an assault occurred in Gaza. Just 2 years ago, there was a similar situation happened where Israel also attacked Gaza, causing a huge casualties among the civilians. 2014, another one, 2012, 2008, and so on. So what I think it is more important, rather than trying to buy this kind of a narrative about a humanitarian corridor versus a prisoners and prisoners exchange, is an immediate ceasefire and stop the whole casualties and killings of the Palestinians, not only in Gaza, but also in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, and implementing United Nations resolutions immediately. I think Israel has been trying to avoid any serious talks or any serious pressure that's been generated by the international community for the last decades, talking about the rights of the Palestinians to live in dignity and to live in their own state. What the Palestinians are asking for are simply implementation of the United Nations resolution. I think this is very crucial and very important element in order to restore the whole peace process, in order to implement an active peace process in the region without trying to find alternative narratives about what's going on and trying to buy time. I think this is the pressing factor now, an immediate ceasefire, allowing the international community to step in with an adequate pressure to say there has to be an end for this Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories. Enough is enough. The Palestinians have been engaged with all the peace talks for the last 32 years, and nothing has been already materialized into any sort of independence. So this is very important.
All right. Okay, Dr. Jahangir, I want to bring you back into the conversation. You've been in Tel Aviv. We've seen the kind of conversation internationally as well, where the world has practically rallied around Israel over the last 3-4 days, and understandably with the kind of barbarism that was unfolded. But today, where you're standing at the precipice of a ground invasion, where you're looking at a massive humanitarian crisis, where over 2 million are completely cut off from basic necessities, does Israel stand at that precipice of losing that kind of empathy and sympathy that it had garnered over the last few days?
Well, what I read, all the statements of the Israeli politicians and military officers, they seem to be very, very clear that they have a work to eliminate Hamas from Gaza, and they would not take any moral lessons from anyone. I think what they're hoping, and I think America is helping them out, is to assist Egypt in letting people of Gaza walk through Egypt or walk into Egypt. Today is the Arab League's meeting, but even in the last 3 days, Prime Minister of Israel and many army officers have spoken that people of Gaza should leave. What they hope is that through Rafah crossing, Egypt, maybe temporarily, or maybe via Egypt, they will reach somewhere else, that the Arab countries will actually now come to a humanitarian aid and not expect Israel to do that. So I think Israelis are very clear with their motive, and unfortunately that motive is right now quite full of anger, rather than any kind of, considerations for the civilians there.
Well, I appreciate both you gentlemen for joining us. Thank you. We've run out of time. But with what we're looking at right now, understandably, there was a flood of support where Israel was concerned, especially what it's been through in the last 3 days and the kind of visuals, horrific at that we've seen. But today, as slowly visuals of what is emanating from Gaza starts to come through and we see what's happening in the Gaza Strip, a huge humanitarian crisis looming large. Is Israel standing on the cusp of at least losing that kind of good faith that it had garnered, or not just good faith, the support that it had garnered over the last few days? Israel has every right for retribution, but should it be limited to Hamas and not possibly the collateral citizens living in Gaza? A quick break to stay with us. Up next, Rahul Gandhi.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
We have seen what has happened in Israel in the recent days. Hamas, a terrorist organization based in Gaza, carried out barbaric terror attacks on the Israeli citizens. But everyone is asking this question that despite having the best intelligence in the world, how could Israel could not sense what was going to happen, and how could Hamas carry out these kind of terror attacks?
We don't know all the details yet. It was a surprise, clearly a failure of our intelligence, a failure of our operational forces on the spot, which ended up within 24 hours, we lost 2,000, within 24 hours, we lose 1,200 people, most of them civilians, and about 180 that were hijacked into the Gaza Strip. So it's a major blow, unprecedented in the history of the country, a barbarian attack, attacking the civilians in the style of ISIS, Daesh, as we call it in the Middle East. And we have to kind of respond. We are united now. We are fighting. We will leave all the details of the surprise to be clarified once we end the war. We cannot do it through the war. But we are united, and I can tell you Israel is going to win this war as well.
6 members of my family right now are being held in Gaza. Time is rushing. There's a 9-month baby and a 3-year-old child, and my aunt has Parkinson's disease. I want them back. We all want our family back. I have a 7-month-old at home, so Shiri, my cousin, and I basically, gave birth at the same, approximately the same time. So we were texting all day long and, complaining and laughing and sharing photos. And we get together on Saturdays and thinking about how our kids are going to be, close in age and grow up together.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Hamas terrorists carried out their deadliest attack in Israel's history on 7th October. When gunmen rampaged through Israeli towns, killing more than 1,000 people, including children, and taking scores of hostages to Gaza. Israel retaliated with airstrikes on Gaza that razed entire districts. Several Hollywood stars have now extended support and asked for peace as the war continues to escalate. Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, posted a long note on social media site Instagram where he condemned and denounced terrorism. He further added that his heart goes out to all innocent victims and families grieving for their lost loved ones. Justin Bieber also wrote a note saying he was not interested in choosing sides and was hurting for both his Israeli and Palestinian friends. The Canadian singer had landed in trouble after he shared a post which read, "Praying for Israel, but with the background of Gaza." Wonder Woman Gal Gadot, who hails from Israel, took to her Instagram page to express support for her hometown and country. Interestingly, Gal has also served in the Israel Defense Forces. American supermodel Gigi Hadid, who has Palestinian heritage, had described the situation as an unjustifiable tragedy and expressed her support for the Palestinian cause while simultaneously condemning the violence that ensued from the conflict. Reality television star and entrepreneur Kim Kardashian also faced backlash after fans criticized her for denouncing Armenian ethnic cleansing while extending her support to Israel. The Big Bang Theory star Mayim Bialik took to social media posting a video in which he read the final text messages from Israeli victims of the Hamas terror attacks. Lior Raz, an Israeli actor popular for his role as Doron Kabilo in the political thriller Fauda, had posted a video on social media page of being caught in a rocket attack as he was volunteering to help fellow Israeli friends. Pop star Madonna, Oscar winner Natalie Portman have also condemned the attack on social media. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies.
Co-presented by Century Laminates by Manish Malhotra, fashion for your furniture.
Co-presented by
Macho Hind, बड़े आराम से.
Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com, हर family होगी insured. Co-powered by The Bold Look of Kohler. Kirloskar.